Okay, everybody. We are going to do just a couple of questions from section 1.2. My apologies that this is not live, but I do not have power, water, or Wi-Fi at my house. So we're just kind of improvising today. I apologize for that. So I wanted to tell you on all of these, what we are going to do is simplify by combining like terms. So the first one that we are going to do looks like this. -3 times x plus 4 plus 5 times x minus 2 plus 6x. Now, when you're combining like terms, the first thing that you always want to do is take care of the numbers that are out in front. And the way that you're going to have to do that is by distributing. And so this -3 right here is going to have to go to both of these numbers. And remember, you're multiplying. So that's going to be a -3x. -3 times +4 is -12. And then you're going to have to do the same thing to the second parenthesis. We'll kind of draw you little arrows right there. So 5 times x is 5x. 5 times -2 is -10. And then you'll notice that this term over here doesn't have a set of parentheses, so there's nothing to distribute. You just kind of bring it down with you. And so then once you take care of that, all you want to do is combine like terms with like terms. So we have a -3x right here, kind of underline it, a +5x, and a +6x. Those are all like terms. So -3x plus 5x is 2x, plus 6x is 8x. And then you have your -12 and your -10. And so if you combine those, you get -22. Now this right here is your final answer. You're not going to set it equal to 0. You're not going to try to solve it or anything like that. You are simply done because you have simplified this by combining like terms. So we're going to look at a few more of these. The good news is this is the instructions for every single one of them. So once we kind of get the name of the game down, then every single problem is going to be played the same way. So let's look at this one and let's see what we can do with this one. So this one is going to say z squared plus 5 plus 4 times z squared plus 3. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is the same first thing that we did on the last one. Anything that has a number out in front of a parenthesis, we're going to take care of that. And so you'll notice that this z squared plus 5 doesn't. So we're just going to bring that down. But now we have this 4, and it is going to have to distribute to these two things. So 4 times z squared is just 4z squared. 4 times 3 is 12. Now you want to combine like terms. Now this z squared right here at the front doesn't have a number, so remember it's really a 1z squared. So when we combine that with a 4z squared, I get 5z squared. And then I have plus 5 and plus 12, and so that is plus 17. Now once again, don't try to set it equal to 0 and solve it or anything like that. That's going to come soon enough. But for this particular one, you're done. You have just combined your like terms. Now I'm going to do a real short one over here. And just to make sure that everybody realizes that not everything in here is a whole number. So if I gave you the problem 8z minus 0.7z, I want you to realize that that is 8. It doesn't have a decimal in it, but 0.7 does. And so please don't just think that that's an 8 and a 7 and tell me that the answer is 1, because that is not the case. Remember, 8 is really 8.0z, if you wanted to put a decimal in that, minus 0.7z. So 8 minus 0.7 leaves me with 7.3, and then we have our z because both of these terms had a z in it. So be real careful. Some of them have decimals in there. I don't want you to start thinking, oh, they all have whole numbers, so I don't have to worry about anything like that. That is not the case. Some of them do have decimals, so make sure that you're reading the problems really cautiously. All right, we're going to do another one now that has kind of a trick that tends to throw people. So let me get all of this off of our screen. And it's a negative sign. And y'all know by now that that is one of the really, really, really easy places to make a mistake, right, guys? You can make a mistake with a minus sign all day long. So let's look at this. -2, and then a parenthesis, x minus 5y, minus another parenthesis, 3x plus 8y. So the first part of this problem starts out like probably the last three that we did. You've got a number out in front. You want to go ahead and distribute it right here. So -2 times x, that's -2x. -2 times -5y, two negatives make a positive, so that's positive 10y. And then people get to the middle part, and that's where they get a little antsy because there's no number there, but there is a negative. So what you have to remember is that this negative changes the signs of everybody in here. So instead of this being a negative, or instead of this being a positive 3x, it is now a negative 3x, and it is also a negative 8y. Now, once you've gotten rid of those parentheses, then you can look and see what we can do to combine like terms. So we have a -2x and a -3x. Well, that's -5x. Then we have a positive 10y and a -8y, and so that is going to be a positive 2y. So be real careful on those negatives. They are the easy thing. I'll be honest, if you miss one of these problems, that would be the first place I would check, guys, is to make sure that you did not miss a negative or make a sign mistake somewhere in there. That's the easy thing to do. Give me just a second. We're going to get rid of this one. And we're going to do a longer version of these. So every problem that we've done so far simply had two terms inside the parenthesis, but nobody ever promised you that it would only have two. So let's look at one that has three terms inside these parentheses. So I've got 4 times x squared minus 3x plus 2. And then I have minus 2x squared plus 5x minus 4. So this one is real similar, but I want you to remember that the 4 has to distribute to every single thing. So not just the first two pieces, every single piece. So here we go. 4 times x squared is 4x squared. 4 times -3x is -12x. And 4 times 2 is 8. Now we need to remember that the negative changes all of our signs. So this is going to be a -2x squared, a -5x, but be careful here. This is already a -4, so we'll notice that it is a plus 4. Now you can go through and combine your like terms. So we have a 4x squared here. We have a -2x squared here, so 4 minus 2 would be 2, and then we keep our variable x squared. Then we have a -12x and a -5x, so -12 minus 5 is -17x. And then we have a +8 and a +4, and so that is +12. Now, there is one other thing that I do want to go over. It's not in this section, but it is part of your SLO quiz, and I do want to make sure that everybody kind of understands how we're going to do something. It's really commonly missed, So I know that we've kind of already been over it in some of your previous lessons, but I figured one extra example probably wouldn't hurt anybody. And so we are going to take a square root and we are going to simplify it. So in this case, we're going to simplify, let's say, the square root of 50. Now, the problem with this is it's not a perfect square. If you were to plug in the square root of 50 into your calculator, you get something like 7 point blah, blah, blah. I don't actually have a calculator with me because I didn't bring it to my friend's house, but we would get something kind of weird. But we can't plug these into our calculator because we want what we call an exact answer. So I'm going to come over here to some scratch work and I'm going to break 50 apart. I know 50 is 5 times 10. Now, there are other ways to break 50 apart. I just happened to pick that one. You could break it apart into 25 times 2 if you wanted. It doesn't matter. I just picked 5 times 10. Now I'm going to circle 5. The reason I'm going to circle 5 is because it is as simple as I can get it. But now 10, I can do something with. I can make that 5 times 2. So I'm going to circle both of those. So if I do what's called the prime factorization of 50, I have 2 times 5 times 5. Now the rule is this: when we're simplifying it for a square root, it takes a pair, 2 of them, of the same number to come on the outside of the square root. So I have a pair of 5s. That means 1 5 gets to come on the outside. 2 doesn't have a partner or its pair, and so it has to stay on the inside. And so I'm going to simplify this, and it's going to be 5 times the square root of 2. And so just as a reminder, you'll have a problem like this on your SLO quiz number 2. And it's always something that's really commonly missed. So I figured it wouldn't hurt if we needed to go over it again. Now, as soon as I've been trying to get onto Canvas all day long, by the way, guys, and I have not been able to log in. So I think there's something wrong with Canvas. It probably has to do with the power outage at the college. So as soon as I can, I'm going to get this uploaded. Just know that, yes, we will give you a few extra days to get your work done because I know a lot of you are dealing with the same things that I am, like no power, no water, no all that kind of stuff. And when you're dealing with things like that, I understand your algebra takes a little bit of a back seat. So don't panic. All right, just do your best, get whatever done you can get done, and then we'll hope for some better weather towards the end of the week, and maybe we can kind of all get caught up then. All right, y'all have a good one.